Hi, I'm Shalane from TSC Tuition, and this is a series all about TEEL. Today we're going to be talking about evidence. So in the last video, we've talked about topic sentences, we've talked about setting up the parameters of your discussion within this body paragraph. So let's talk about the next part that needs to happen. And for us, we really recommend students start immediately with evidence. Now, evidence can come in a lot of forms. Most of the time, it will look like a quote. Sometimes it will look like stage directions or a camera angle or a cinematic technique, things like that. Most of the time, most students are more comfortable with quotes. So that's what I'll work with mostly today. Now, we suggest that students start immediately with quotes rather than explanation because in my experience and also in my opinion, it's really hard to write something about nothing. If you start with explanation, what are you explaining? You've already got your topic sentence, right? So that should be quite succinct and that should be quite short, right? We shouldn't be writing an entire treatise in a topic sentence, right? So that should be quite short already. And if you feel like you need another sentence to explain what you meant in the topic sentence, my gut feeling is that something's gone wrong there. You shouldn't be feeling this need to explain yourself in the topic or right after the topic sentence, because that should stand by itself. Now, if you don't add evidence immediately after that and you go straight into explanation, you've left yourself a bit of a conundrum, right? You're a high school student. You're not, the professor of whatever at university somewhere, right? You don't have that kind of academic background and muscle to sustain a discussion about a theme or an idea without concrete evidence. So our advice to our students is always to start with evidence. Give yourself something to talk about, right? At a university level, at a tertiary education level, we don't expect students to talk create theories or just talk purely about theories at a bachelor level. That really starts at a postgraduate level. So really at a master's level kind of writing. And if you're a year 10 student, if you're a year 11 student, let's be realistic about what you can do, right? We should not be aiming to be delivering these really complex sentences about abstract ideas, right, at your year level. At a high school level, we are expecting students to engage with the text, and that means evidence. Now, with the evidence sentence, we want to keep it to just one sentence. This should be the second sentence of your body paragraph. Why do we suggest, right, just one sentence? Maybe you've got more, right? The analogy I like to use is like eating a steak. It's not very vegan friendly, but bear with me, right? In order to eat a steak, you have to cut it up. You can't just shove the whole thing in your mouth. You're going to choke, right? You're not going to be able to digest that. And really, digesting and processing information and ideas is what we're doing in a body paragraph. That's what we're doing in an essay. So start with just one sentence of evidence. Explain that. That's going to be our next video. Explain that first before you go on to your next piece of evidence. What students tend to do if they have a lot of evidence up front is they will have topic sentence and then evidence, right? Because you get on this roll of, and then he says this and she says this and this shows this theme and she feels really great about this, but then, this creates this conundrum, etc., etc. Students get on this roll, this storytelling roll, right? And by the time they get to sort of sentence about 6, 7, something like that, they feel like they've talked a lot, and they have. But what they've done is they've summarized the story. They've done a lot of storytelling, but if you're in a SAC situation where it's very stressful, time's ticking away, right? Everybody around you is furiously writing. You're looking at your 6, 7 sentences and you feel like, I've done my job. I've written a body paragraph. I've talked about these characters. I've talked about these themes. You wrap it up and then you move on, right? But what students don't realize is that once you get there, you haven't really explained anything, you've just told the story. So our advice is always to stop, limit yourself to one evidence sentence, explain that properly, right? Talk about it before you move on to your next bit of evidence. So that's our advice for a lot of students who are struggling with essay writing and with essay structure. It's not advice that I would give to really high achieving students. With students who are really high achieving and writing really fluently and very expressively, I would give different advice. But for the vast majority of students who are struggling with the essay format, this is the advice that we would give. So I hope that was helpful. As always, like and subscribe to all of our social media channels so that you get notified whenever we post an update. We also have a newsletter for parents and tutors who are looking for more tips and tricks to help their teens. So make sure you sign up to that as well. We release a newsletter roughly twice, 3 times a term, just filled with advice for people who are looking to help their teens. And if you're looking for one-to-one online tutoring, please contact us and let's see how we can support you. Thanks for watching.